Well, it's the channel's birthday. It was a year ago today that I started this channel, and in 1 year we have reached 250 subscribers. Thank you guys. I wanted to share a little bit of my history with you guys and some plans for the future. Now, I got a terrible memory, so I wrote some chronological order talking points. Started forging in 2015. A buddy and I was still in the Army at the time. A buddy and I found some railroad spikes, and he said, "Hey, we should turn these into knives." And I was like, "What? How?" He says, "Yeah, his grandpa had a buddy that did it. He heated it up, beat it with a hammer, and put a twist in the handle." I said, "Oh, that sounds awesome." So I already had an Adobe rocket stove out back. So I took a little 4-inch personal fan, stuck that in the air inlet so it'd force air through. I had an old grill grating we stuck on top, and we used charcoal briquettes. The best heat we could get out of that setup was blood red, and forging those out on a railroad track plate with a 2.5 pound big box store hammer was quite the task. Twisting a railroad spike with a 4-inch bench vise and a pair of and a pipe wrench at a blood red heat is also quite the interesting task. That first knife got me hooked. So shortly after I got tired of only getting a red heat. I used oxygen acetylene most of my life, so I know steel would get, orange and yellow and melt. So I ended up replacing that 4-inch personal fan with an electric air mattress inflator, and I put a cap on top of my rocket stove. I put a cap and made a hole in the side, and that helped out immensely. That actually got hot enough to where I could forge weld with lump charcoal. So I used that setup for about 6 months, and then I upgraded. I made a major upgrade to my shop. I invested a particularly small sum of money into a Harbor Freight anvil, and I tell you, that Harbor Freight anvil holds a special place in my heart because I made so much on top of it. Now I had to, since I kept my anvil outside, I had to scrape off the rust with a wire brush every time I wanted to use it and hammer in all the pock marks in the face back smooth, and every time I wanted to use it. But man, it was a hell of a lot better than that railroad track plate. I will never forget the ringing of that railroad track plate. Shortly after I got the anvil, I upgraded my forge into what I called the fire crotch. Basically, I took a pipe, an L-shaped pipe, or a piece of black pipe, an elbow, and a downspout, and a ball valve. And I had my electric air mattress inflator hooked up to the bottom, went up, took a 90-degree, where his holes drilled in this black pipe. And then the ball valve at the end was to control how much pressure I was putting up through those holes. And I used that for almost 2 years. But I forged on my own for a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years. It's close to 2 years that I just forged on my own, teaching myself how the metal moves, how to forge weld, how to all this other stuff. And my first forge weld was a complete accident. If you watch my Learn How to Forge Weld Made Easy video, I tell you how I stumbled upon forge welding. kept trying to forge weld. A railroad spike axe I was working on was a folded axe, and I couldn't get it to stick. I remember I stuck it in the fire, and I started working on something else, and totally forgot about it. And I looked at my fire, seen sparks shooting up. I was like, oh crap. So I dug in there, found that piece, pulled it out. It was just a full-on sparkler, and I just beat it with a hammer until it was red, and it stuck, and it stuck good. But yeah, that's anyway. So I was teaching myself, you know, how to forge, and I needed to make a tool. I think it was a tool. I wanted to make either an item or a tool, and I didn't know how to do it. So I said, I'll YouTube it. You know, the internet is the collective knowledge of mankind, so I'll turn to the internet. I tried some Google searches, found some stuff, and kept seeing references to YouTube, so I went to YouTube. And that was a big jump in my skill set, was discovering YouTube smiths. There was a whole community of blacksmiths on YouTube, and it blew my mind how much I learned. Very first person that I watched and continue to watch because he was so dang good was Chandler Dickinson. He's a lot like me. You couldn't tell him no, or you can't do it, or you can't do this without, you know, evidence being presented to you. And you see that all the time in the internet forums. It's like, can I do this? No, you can't, blah, 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 blah. And someone experienced will jump in, yes, but, and then give you the actual information that you were looking for in the first place. Chandler was like that. He wanted to know the whys, the why nots, and everything related. And that really hit home with me. Next person that really bumped up my skill set was DF in the shop. He has a bunch of technical videos in relation to blacksmithing. He has a lot of stuff nobody did before or has done since. In fact, it was his videos that I used to make the 2 fire pots that I have in my shop here behind me. Another good one is Christ-Centered Ironworks. For the sheer amount of project videos and educational videos that he put out. I feel like I'm not a very creative guy, so having those projects laid out step by step for me really helped me, you know, make things, and also get the creationist flowing inside me. Let's see. Oh yeah, I wanted that fire crotch forge. Like I said, it was that pipe with the holes drilled into it, and I based it off what I'd later find out is like a Japanese or Celtic style forge, where it was Japanese used bricks, but mine was made out of adobe, and Japanese used two just straight walls, and the Celtic forges are kind of curved like this, and that's exactly what mine was. It was kind of curved where I could fill up the slot with charcoal and forge out of that. And then got out of the Army and got this place here. Cleaned out all the junk that was in this shop. I'm sure you've seen it in the background of some of my videos. I ain't taken the time to get a dump truck or a trailer and throw it all away. But I upgraded to a run-of-the-mill 120-something pound Trenton anvil, and that's my main shop anvil. And like I said earlier, my main forge, the fire pot, I built off of DF in the Shop's, one of DF in the Shop's videos, where he tells you how big his fire pot was and how to design a forge from scratch. I found that I mainly run anthracite because it's cheap and I can get it in my area, but I do have a large supply of bituminous on hand for my portable demonstration forge, because it likes that the best. My main forge likes the anthracite the best. Although I just redesigned my main forge with a much shallower fire pot. It's just the main fire pot's like this, and I made an insert that just sits down on top, and the breast is filled with a clay mixture. So that way, if I ever want that full depth of that fire pot again, all I gotta do is take out that fire pot insert, take out the dirt clay mix, and light it up. But so I lost my train of thought here. Bear with me. Yeah, so I upgraded my equipment, and my work was essentially the exact same as when I was working in the Fire Crouch Forge and Harbor Freight Anvil. Then I discovered a local blacksmith guild, and I tell you, that was the next like super big jump in my skills, was having other people critique my work and seeing and watching other people's work. It really drove me to make my forgings cleaner and be more efficient in the way I do things. And it wasn't, I didn't own a single book on blacksmithing until about 8 months ago, and I tell you, that's been another jump in my skills. I wouldn't say a jump, but a bump. It's been a bump in my skills. The one book I definitely recommend over all others is Practical Blacksmithing. I have the big one, the 4 volumes in one. Practical Blacksmithing was a four book series. I got the big one that's got all of them combined. I tell you, I like that book the best because just like on these internet forums, everyone says you gotta do it this way, you gotta do it that way. That's nothing new. That's exactly how blacksmiths or people were back in the day. They had their way of doing something. Oh, you can't do it anyway but this. You can't do it anyway but that. And Practical Blacksmithing really illustrates that, because it's a compilation of smiths writing into this book and having their works published and tips and tricks published. And you can see like Smith A will say, can't weld high carbon steel to mild steel because this and that, wrought iron's much better anyway. You got Smith B over here says mild steel can be welded to high carbon steel, but only this way. And Smith C will say, I haven't had any problems welding mild steel to high carbon steel, this is the way I do it. And you got Smith D, who says, I have found the best method is this way. So just having all those different perspectives, like all these people found what works for them, and you can read that and try all the different methods and find what works best for you. And that book is just chock full of projects and good information, and about 3-4 different ways to do every single one of them. So again, you can pick and choose what suits you. And now, I had no intention of starting a YouTube channel, but everyone kept, the blacksmith community, which if you haven't noticed or realized, we have the best community out there, bar none. Everybody is super helpful, super willing to share their knowledge, equipment, tools, items. I'm always seeing people willing to send somebody their first forge, or send somebody their first anvil or hammer or something, first set of tongs, first chisel set, punch set. All the time. I see it all over the place, and it's amazing. And we are all, as a community, quick to shoot down the arseholes. And I think that's just great. And we don't shoot them down negatively. We kill them with kindness. We kill them with fact. And it's great. But I'm super glad I did start this YouTube channel, because I missed a YouTuber, Big Dog Forge, Tim at Big Dog Forge. He is always thinking outside of the box on how to do things, outside the norm. Whereas people say you can't weld a Damascus build-up unless your surfaces are completely clean. He just did a video on using intentionally rusty, like super rusty pieces of steel, and they welded up just fine for him. He came up with a method of doing canister Damascus without a welder, which it blew my mind. It's amazing. But I wanted to be out of the box, you know, like that. Like like Chandler can't tell me the whys or why nots. I mean, you can tell me, but I'm gonna go do the why not anyway. Find out for myself, so that I can say, hey, yeah, you were right, or hey, you were wrong. You might want to change the advice or information you're giving people. I want to document that for the community and projects I put out there, the different ways of doing things. Like, I am the only one, and through all my searching, I'm the only one that I found that has made a hammer, and I've made 2 different kinds of hammer by forge welding the eye. I'm the only one who's done that, and I came up with 2 different methods to do that. I just want to give you, like, the practical blacksmithing, Smith ABC, different ways to do it. I want to give you another way to do things, a different perspective, a different method to try for yourself. Thank all of you who are subscribed to my channel, and if you're not subscribed, thank you for watching. I hope to keep putting out videos that are to your liking. A little bit of what we got planned for the future is I've been working on a flintlock, a rifle from scratch, and I'm really liking it. I've been forging some bits and pieces off camera in preparation for making the video. I'm, you know, kind of building my skills in that area before I make a fool of myself on camera. But I'm really liking it. I'm really getting into it. So I think this won't be, depending on how boring this barrel goes, if boring this barrel goes good, then you can definitely expect to see quite a few guns built in the future on this channel. If boring the barrel is a bear, there's probably somebody local that can bore them out for me, and I may utilize their services to do that, but I'd like to keep everything veteran iron and wood pure if I can. But, yeah, I'm really digging this rifle build. I don't know if you watched the stock video. We're gonna have to redo the stock video because the piece of wood I had chosen, I thought it was fully seasoned. It wasn't. It's developed a big crack. I'm gonna stop my rambling again. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Couldn't do it without you. And I hope y'all have a wonderful day.